Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the amazing sport of Speedway. Tonight marks the 54th opening night of the Speedway at Costa Mesa, California.
I'm Chris Cuthill, and I'm a member of the Costa Mesa Historical Preservation Committee. I've lived in Costa Mesa my entire life, and I want to introduce you to one of my favorite things to do in Costa Mesa Speedway.
1, 2, 3.
Thank you very much for that, Chris. Chris is a great guy. He prepares that track at Costa Mesa. He's been doing it for many years, and he had this big lizard when I was racing, and I love that lizard. I just hugged that thing after the races, and Chris is just one of my best friends there at Costa Mesa.
So there's a lot of things to do in California, no doubt, but with prices getting out of control, this is one of the very few things there are that's actually affordable for a family to come and do. And all you have to do is come one time and you'll be totally hooked.
It's in Southern California in Orange County.
These motorcycles are air-cooled, which makes them a lot simpler than most forms of motorcycles. There's also no transmissions. These have what's known as a direct drive. All there is a clutch. So basically the power goes straight from the engine straight to the rear wheel as soon as you dump that clutch. But even though these bikes are more simple than most motorcycles, there's still a ton of prep that goes into making one of these things fast.
And we're going to talk more about the Costa Mesa Speedway.
The racing is awesome because every seat is right on top of the bull ring oval. And in 3 words, Speedway racing is fast, colorful, and unpredictable.
We're going to talk to Brad Oxley.
My dad was a motorcycle manager of Milne Brothers Motorcycles in Pasadena, California. And his boss, the owner of Milne Brothers, was 1937 World Speedway champion and America's first motorsports world champion, a gentleman named Jack Milne. And Jack Milne saw a spark in my father and thought he'd be a likely candidate to get the sport going again. The sport had been dormant largely since World War II. So in 1968, they went to a little place called Whiteman Stadium and did a couple of events. And they liked what they saw, and that winter they found the sleepy Orange County Fairgrounds. And after tons of meetings and learning, and my dad had never been to a Speedway motorcycle race before he promoted one. But Jack Milne knew the blueprint and had the knowledge on how the program works, how the presentation should be, and we developed this 2-hour and 15-minute 40 events, and 2 hours and 15 minutes is really quite spectacular program, and it's non-stop racing. There's a race every 3 minutes, and the longevity of Costa Mesa Speedway goes back to its fan friendliness and us just being true to the original format by our founder and hero, Jack Milne.
Thank you, Brad. Yeah, Jack Milne was just an amazing rider. He promoted Speedway back in the 40s. I mean, Jack Milne had all this experience of promoting. So when he went to the Whiteman Stadium and saw how Speedway was brought back to America, him being a world champion and a United States champion, he was able to get Harry Oxley promote that Speedway at Costa Mesa. And tonight, as we speak, that the Costa Mesa opening night of the 54th annual Speedway. Thank you very much, Harry Oxley and Jack Milne.
So what makes Costa Mesa Speedway special for me is I used to come here as a little kid in the 70s, right after we moved to Costa Mesa. My dad used to take me here, and this was one of the funnest places I've ever been to. So about 20 years ago, because I love this place so much and I continued coming here, I asked if they were hiring, and they hired me on the spot, and I've been here ever since.
We're going to hear from these racers. We're going to talk about the amazing sport we call Speedway.
I started motocross racing when I was a kid in 1969, and then I was mainly riding. I started really going in 1970. I just did one race in 69, and then in the 70 I was racing mainly in Santa Barbara. So that's how I started on mini bikes and go-karts, and then I got into motocross, and then I got into Speedway in 1973. My first race was in 1974. That was at Irwindale. This track is very small, not even probably an eighth of a mile, but it's always stand alone on its own. It's always been the premier track in Southern California, and so I think this is my 47th season, and I was 17 and now I'm 66. It looks maybe easy for people, but it isn't. I'm trying to figure out each turn when I get there and what I'm going to set up to do. So sometimes you don't have a lot of time to think about it, so you just kind of just do it, you know, and it's pretty easy to just do because you got to turn the corner to make it. You don't want to hit the wall.
Boogaloo Bobby Schwartz has been racing forever, probably since they invented water. It's been that long ago. Bobby Schwartz has still been on a Speedway bike. It's been close to 50 years now. And Boogaloo Bobby is just a living legend of Speedway. That's why they call him Captain America. Next, we're going to hear from Brad Oxley. He's going to tell us about the history of the world-famous bull ring at Costa Mesa.
Way back on June 13th, 1969, Costa Mesa Speedway opened its doors, expecting about 500 fans, drew about 1,800 that first night, quickly developed into a 20 event a year program weekly, and drew up to 9,000 people.
And next, we're going to see Michael Scooter Wells, a good friend of mine. He's going to be warming up his bike. And we're going to hear more from Chris about Speedway and about the Speedway bikes, how they operate.
Just like any type of racing, it's expensive. Although this is a more affordable form of racing than most types of racing, but you still need sponsors and you still need people to help support you. And you can see by a lot of these teams, they have a lot of different companies, a lot of different industries that help support the programs and the racing that happens here. So friends are good to have.
My dad raced sidecars back in the late 80s, early 90s, and I've always kind of been around Speedway, but grew up racing motocross, and then graduated high school, and I actually had a friend that was racing Speedway, and he took me out to the dry lake, and the rest has been history. Costa Mesa Speedway is the granddaddy of them all. Impeccable venue and one of the best prep tracks we get to race on. All the riders look forward to coming here and riding, and you know what you're going to get every time, and us riders can put on a good show.
That was two-time United States Speedway champion Aaron Fox. Next, we're going to hear from Brad Oxley. He's going to talk to you more about the Costa Mesa Speedway.
You can come here once, and the second time bring your neighbor who's never been, and you can be the expert on Speedway because it's just so accessible.
Opening night of Speedway at Costa Mesa is tonight. It's an amazing track. It's a fun track. It's one of my favorite tracks. My favorite track. So go ahead and head on out to Costa Mesa Speedway for the 2024 season. You're going to like it. Bring your neighbor. Go ahead and enjoy the sport, the fabulous sport of Speedway. See you next time.